Okay.
Deidra, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to be back. We're doing it on Zoom now, but the first time I just want to reminisce about the times where we could be in person and we were on your porch recording.
So nice.
I don't even remember what episode number it was. I'll put it in the show notes, but I feel like it was like before I even started numbering them, so pre number 10.
Cool.
Because you're one of my Mormon friends, and I love getting my Mormon friends who have become like incredible humans outside of the confines of dogma and religiosity. And also I learn new Mormon things from you every time we talk, like just now, the made up Mormon names. Like
yeah. Yeah, they do name their kids some really unique and interesting things.
Mm-hmm. Including your family, like back in the day. Your brother's name is, can you share your brother's name? Is that too much of
yeah, totally. I'm comfortable with that. My brother's name is Amron. So Amron. And my parents like kind of made it up, but it's kind of like Book of Mormon-y. It's kind of like a Mormon creative compilation name. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was relating that to my friend McKay, who I've also had on the podcast, who is also former Mormon, and their siblings all have really fun made-up names that sound oddly formal and fun at the same time, like Amron, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it's rare that I dive into an episode already knowing what I'm going to call it, but this one is clearly Give Plants a Chance, which is like the theme of Deidre's life.
Yeah.
And I want to hit three main things. I want to talk today about eating plants. I want to talk about smoking and imbibing plant medicine for the glow up that we need. And then I want to talk about houseplants as a form of healing. Let's start with plant medicine, just because like the last time we talked, you taught me about DMT, and I just want you to just say exactly what you said. Describe it, teach on it. What is it? How do we glow up with it?
Okay, so there are lots of plant medicines, psychedelic plant medicines. When they're used for like a spiritual purpose, we call psychedelic plant medicines entheogens. And the strongest of all the entheogenic plants, arguably, I think there's compelling evidence that it is DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine. And it is orally active in ayahuasca, which is the Amazonian brew that helps you connect with the spirit realm. And it causes you to go on a medicine journey, right? Where you connect with other beings. Like that's a universal principle in the DMT journey, is you connect with other beings, that you have some sort of purge or release, and that you really like get in touch with your inner truth, on a deep and meaningful, profound level. When people do ayahuasca, they do it with a shaman. It's not something that you just do at home. It's not like a party drug. It's hard to find. It's not like a street drug. It's very much plant medicine. And I was sharing with Bevan that ayahuasca is kind of hard to find in the US because it's indigenous to South America, but not North America. But what you can find in North America is DMT, which is kind of like an ayahuasca extraction, you could call it. It's the dimethyltryptamine, which is the major active ingredient. But instead of being orally active where you drink it as a tea, as ayahuasca, DMT is vaporized, smoked, inhaled, however you want to say it, right? You put fire to it and you inhale it. And it lasts a very short amount of time, and there's no real come down effect. It's called the dream drug, DMT is, because it is the chemical component that allows you to have an altered consciousness dream experience. So when you fall asleep and you're in REM, that REM state, you are releasing DMT in your body. It is hypothesized to be manufactured in your pineal gland, which is like commonly referred to in spiritual circles as your third eye. And it's literally located right here inside of your skull. There is a gland that secretes hormones. DMT is one of them. It helps you dream. DMT also your body like scavenges it really fast, which is why when you wake up from a dream, you can't like hold it. You can't keep it. Your body's breaking it down as soon as possible. It doesn't like to let you have dimethyltryptamine in your system. It's okay with your system having the constituent elements, the chemical components of it, but it doesn't want it in that molecule. It doesn't like it. So this could explain some of why when you come back from a dream, the dream fades quickly. Also why if you do have a DMT trip, even though it only lasts like 5 to 15 minutes and you come out of it like waking up, that's like the most come down there is the sense of waking up. And but it feels like you've had this like multi-year experience. Maybe you really get outside of time. That's what's so profound about DMT. You close your eyes because your reality kind of dissolves before your eyes, and you close your eyes, you're still having these close-eyed visuals, and it's as though you are traveling through the psychedelic realm. You are kind of outside of your body. It's an out-of-body experience. It is fully 100% encompassing. You are not in this reality. You go to a different one. It is nothing like magic mushrooms or peyote or even like acid, LSD. It's nothing like those where it's like a combination of this reality kind of altered and shifted. This is like, no, you're out of your body. You're out of this reality. You're out of physical reality. You're in another space. And people kind of, if you have a high enough dose of DMT to truly like have a see God experience, people kind of universally report that they connect with other entities outside of themselves that feel very different from psychedelic. What do they call it when you see things? What's it called when you're tripping?
Oh,
like
the haze or something, or like
no, like a hallucination. Like this is not a hallucination, but thank you. This is not a hallucination. This is like a full on altered consciousness state where you're having what feels like legitimately real experiences with beings outside of yourself who have more understanding of reality than you do, like higher beings, more educated, more evolved, something like that. It's really interesting. And that DMT has been studied, researched. There are like academic studies and books that you can read about it. There is a book called DMT. It's also a documentary called DMT based on the book. And I believe it was on Netflix last I checked. I don't know if it's currently on Netflix, but if not, you can watch it on YouTube somewhere. They're free. It's easy to find them. You can learn a lot about what is the most profound of all the entheogenic experiences. It's definitely like life shifting, life altering. People who go to South America and participate in ayahuasca ceremonies often come back new people, changed people, because their previous priorities shift in the light of an eternal perspective. It's really crazy.
And I'll say, like, I think the importance of an eternal perspective is that when we live in the matrix and we're raised, like literally just raised within this matrix of like limitations, and very few people are raised in a way where our genius is preserved. I think 98% of toddlers are at a genius level, but by the time they're 10 years old, if they've gone to regular school, I know you're a homeschooling mom for many reasons, but like once they go to regular school, like it's like some radically like under 10% are still geniuses. And it's so sad what all of these boxes we put people in. And it's just how we're taught. We don't know how to be out of this matrix, but I love plant medicines for helping me elevate away from the actual matrix. And I'll say my experience of being the most high I've ever been on cannabis, I felt I was truly out of the matrix. I was just like in a different different area, time and space didn't exist. It was at a getaway.
It was at a getaway. Did you, yeah, because I also host the Glowing Goddess Getaway, with Cheers Bevan, featuring Fat Kid Dance Party, can aside. So was it just like smoking or dabbing, or was it edibles, or was it a combination? How did you get your most high experience?
Okay, so I was at the breakfast table at the Glowing Goddess Getaway, which is like, I love the getaways because they're just luxuriant. It's feasting, it's energy, it's like coming together to vibe up together, right? So there's like, as an empath, I'm like feeling everybody's good vibes, and like there's dragonflies flying everywhere. And Saline comes by, and I'm not a dabber at home. I only dab at the getaway, but like by the time I'm on like day 2 of the getaway, I've been stoned for a while, and so it's nothing really hits me that hard, except for Saline's honey badger. And she was like, she remembers me taking lots of hits, but I was like, no, that was you. I took 1 hit from your honey badger. And then thank God I had a big breakfast, because like I just like was as high as I could be, and like out of the matrix, and all I could do, because I knew enough that like I could look at the dragonflies and connect to them, and that would keep me steady, because it's really scary when you lose your feet, because that's what it feels like when you lose reality. You kind of lose your feet out from under you. And I was glad my bed was really nearby, but there was no way I could get to my bed, because I was just laying on the table, just laying with my little head down, just being stoned. Everyone else left, cleaned up breakfast. There was a yoga class going on. It was really beautiful. But I was out of reality. So I love plant, and I can't get there with cannabis typically.
Where were you at? Where was this at?
Southern Oregon. So it was
Southern Oregon. Okay, this was a magical getaway.
It was a good one. It was a really good one. I mean, all the getaways are magical in their own way, but like they all have their own personalities. Like we had the witchy one in the Berkshires, where like we ran out of joints because everyone there smoked joints and weren't big dabbers like the West.
Nobody wanted to dab. It was so crazy.
We were like trying to sell dabs. What I love when you describe your work with plant medicine, you say like it reveals the truth to you. So like when I do a dab, like a dream dab, and facilitate that, then and you'll come up with a dream, and then you'll say like, oh, the next time I did like a mushroom experience, then I knew it was the truth. Right? Because these truths come to us as dreams first and foremost, and then it becomes more and more of a calling. I like to say, like, I kind of know what my callings are now, and like I can know, and I really am working to discern the difference between a God idea and a good idea. So I want to keep my life simple so that I can really enjoy it, right? So I'm really focusing on doing the things that are true for me. And I love plant medicine for revealing our truths.
Yeah. I find that like I turn to plant medicine regularly when I need to connect with my own inner truth that is separate from like the noise and the responsible choice and what I've been trained to do, and like what I think I should do, because you can get real deep into the matrix in your head with all of the programming and training and conditioning that happens from living in this reality, where I feel that plant medicine really strips away all the voices, strips away all the conditioning. It is tabula rasa. It gives you a true clean slate for you to perceive. People call mushroom trips and stuff resets, because it does. It resets your perspective. It grounds you in you. I really love the quote by Terrence McKenna. Don't follow gurus, follow plants. Oh. And it's real. You can't, like, there is no guru for your life. That's you, which means the only truth that can be revealed to you is through you, like your deepest truths, not the only truth. Plenty of truths can come through other people, but your deepest truths come from inside of yourself. And plants you can put inside of yourself, and they can help you bubble your truth to the surface, help you grow your truth and see that vision. Plants help me take what I like secretly know, like that simmering undercurrent of truth that maybe I haven't connected with yet. They'll bring it through to my forefront, to my consciousness. They'll not just bring it forward for me, they'll put it center stage. They will revolve my entire existence around that truth and show me how to recenter my life going forward with this truth being like an integrated piece of who I now am, rather than me hoping, wishing, dreaming, visioning, searching. All of that feels like I'm looking out for something, but plants really help me turn in. And so this isn't just medicine that's like healing the body or healing depression or calming anxiety. This is like spiritual, visionary medicine that is healing your soul so that your purpose is so great that your body has to give you healthy, strong, positive energy to support this God-like purpose, you know?
I think something that's really been landing for me recently is that every beginning is some other beginning's end.
That's a great 90s lyric you just pulled out.
And it's
closing time.
It's more true now than ever as we're watching systems crumble around us and our government wildly fail to support our population.
Through this pandemic, I think it's just been all the cracks are exposed. Through the Black Lives Matter movement, all the cracks are exposed.
100%.
And it's time to like shatter, you know?
And it's like we have to change the way we do government. We first of all have to get rid of the donor class, like getting money out of politics and making fully publicly funded elections. So our governing officials can actually work full time as leaders instead of mostly fundraisers and like focusing on the interests of like big prison and big, big military and all of those and big pharmaceutical, right? Like all of these things like can be healed if we choose to change, right? And it's just showing us, like the pandemic's showing us the rich are getting richer and poor people are getting left behind, and it's up to mutual aid to fill the gaps.
Right. And I think mutual aid is the answer, because when we come from a place of solidarity rather than charity, you know, I saw you post that the other day and I was just like, this is it. This is the language for how I feel. Mutual aid is the answer. So as a social community, like a social movement, the Glowing Goddesses, I feel like that's going to be a key integral piece of how we operate as a community. So I think that's really cool. And I wanted to tie this into, if it's okay with you, into eating plants.
Sure.
Because when you talk about like inequity and sustainability and all those things, that really talks to me about eating plants as medicine, eating plants as healing, eating plants as a sustainable practice. Because the thing is, I eat plants for a lot of reasons, and it's real trendy to eat plants for a lot of reasons. Veganism is on the rise. It's super cool amongst celebs. It's like real trendy to like be more compassionate to animals. And I think that's epic. But I think that we really miss the boat when we overlook what plants, like that's just like no more eating animals. That's the focus. That's not the focus for me. The focus is on why eat plants. And the reason we should be eating plants is because they're the most gentle thing that our bodies eat, which means we digest them easiest, we extract nutrients easiest, we extract essential vitamins easiest from plants, way easier than anything else, right? So that's helpful for us. In addition, it's sustainable. Plant agriculture is more sustainable for the majority of our calories as humans on Earth than animal agriculture. Animal agriculture is not sustainable as the primary calorie source on this planet. It's not sustainable. We're literally wrecking that Amazonian rainforest that provides us this magical medicine with cattle. You know, like that's something that's really happening right now. It's devastation. Cattle is the number one devastation to the Amazon. Cattle is the number one devastation in greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. Cattle, we're not talking about it. No one wants us to. But the thing is, if we eat plants, it's not only to support our own health, it supports the health of the planet as well. And I think that's a really big deal. And then it's more sustainable for you. The humans that live the longest, the centurions, those who are living 100 years and more, they are all eating plant-based diets. Did I say they were 100% vegan? No. They're getting the majority of their calories from plants, whole food plant-based diet. So it's just a really ethical and sustainable practice for humans to eat plants. And beyond all that, super healing for our bodies. And so I feel like eating plants and using plant medicine kind of go hand in hand. They're very symbiotic for our ecosystem, for our planet, for our, but they're also very symbiotic for us, because when you eat cleaner, I know that's like not cool to create this dichotomy of clean and dirty, but when you eat unprocessed foods, whole foods, you get more access not just to nutrients, but to plant medicines. So you get more out of your cannabis when your system is running on plants. Your system can utilize more of the cannabinoids. It can utilize more of the psychoactive components of all plant medicine when you've been eating more plants. Plants beget plants beget plants, and they all help you like run better on more plants.
I mean, I totally agree. I also like that you clocked the clean eating, because it is like when you add morality to food, it creates eating disorders, right? Like it's just,
I'm very anti-diet culture. I have a very specific way I eat, which makes people think that I'm trying to achieve a certain aesthetic, or I'm trying to, like keep fit or something. But really what I'm trying to do is eat in a sustainable way for my body, my life, and my planet. I frankly, like, I'm a cannabis chef. So I had a cannabis edibles business for a long time, which means that I'm very well versed on hazard management in the kitchen, right? Cross-contamination and all these, problems that we can have in food production. So as a plant-based eater, it is like this level of anxiety that it leaves me in the kitchen when I'm never worried about cross-contaminating anything ever, that I can't accidentally food poison my family, makes me feel really good. Like it reduces the stress. Because when I do bring animal products into the kitchen, which I do occasionally, I do not claim to be vegan, because I occasionally eat fish and fowl. It's very rare, and it's not my body's preference. And that's really what I'm trying to honor. And it's also doesn't feel sustainable. Like I couldn't raise the animals to eat them on a daily or weekly basis. Like I'm not into that lifestyle. And so I feel like occasionally having some splurge with fish or fowl that is generally rooted around tradition is when we eat it, is like around some sort of traditional family experience or memory. We don't eat turkey at Thanksgiving, so it's not just like a rote tradition that we're trying to fill, but like there are moments in your life where you crave a connection to your past that sometimes you can get through your plate. And I feel like that's a gift sometimes. And sometimes that's a gift I'm willing to be part of for my family. So,
yeah. I mean, I love the flexibility. I also love that you figured out what worked for you, right? And
yeah.
And for me, like it's so funny because I was vegetarian for 7 years, and it turns out like I was just eating opposite. I was like a French fry vegan, you know what I mean? It was like, and also like junk food and a lot of stuff that doesn't serve me. Like when I was vegetarian and eating dairy, like I don't eat dairy now because it's like the opposite of what my body wants. If I could eat ice cream, I'd eat it all, and I just can't. Like, and it's fine. Like. And something I try to do as a person who focuses on plants but still eats meat is chasing down 40 different things that grew out of the earth every week. Like for optimal gut health, you want to have a diversity of the flora that's coming into you. And so that's kind of a fun adventure every week. I don't even know that I hit 40, but like, if I had a big family and a lot of food going through, I think I could hit 40.
Yeah. Too, because when you're like grains and nuts and fruits and vegetables and spices, like you're definitely hitting at least 40 without even trying, I would bet.
I hope. So I want to talk to you also about like doing, oh, and one last thing about the plants that you eat is that ultimately what you're bringing into your body becomes your cells. And when your cells replicate, that's what creates the aging process. So if you are vain like me and my grandmother, and you're looking for things to like just slow down the aging process,
She's not wrong. Yeah.
plants. I make a broth like pretty regularly. I try to have a cup. I typically do bone broth, but sometimes it's just veggie broth, depending on who I'm also cooking for. I have a vegetarian neighbor I cook for, and just having that broth is a great way to get a lot of veggies in. It's a great way to use your veggie ends. I love feeling like I'm a waste not, want not, right? So like I love to, when I chop my veggies, throw the ends in a freezer bag, and then eventually that becomes a broth, and then that becomes nourishment. And it's a very available form of nourishment. Just a nice little long simmered broth. I like to throw a little chamomile in there because I can always use it.
Oh, that's nice. What a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And so I want to talk to you about microdosing and utilizing plant medicine to kind of, I don't know, for me, it's like transcending this pandemic reality. Like if I get a chance, like many days of the week to just level up my experience and vibe up with plants, I'm gonna. And I went on a microdosing adventure, which thank God you're my friend, because you helped me kind of figure out what works for me. Because when I was doing microdose, first it didn't feel like I was having enough, and then I tried taking like eating the mushrooms in a different way, and then it still didn't feel like enough, and then I tried more, and then I vaguely saw Dolly Parton's face in the moon, and I was like, I know I could be tripping and I'm not tripping, right? Like it was like I was so close. It's like getting close to orgasm and not finishing. So then I was like, this isn't it. So then you suggested to me to do like a reset trip instead of like microdosing, which like I just want to hear more about your experience microdosing, and then also like your recipe for a reset trip, which worked great for me and really helped me get into my truth and out of this reality.
Yeah. Well, I love microdosing as a general like anti-anxiety, antidepressant, creative boost, I think there are lots of mushrooms, not just magic mushrooms, that like can enhance your cognitive ability, your brain functioning, as well as like supplement your diet, your gut biome. Like mushrooms are really wonderful. They're not exactly plants, but they come from the earth. So I feel like they belong in the umbrella. I certainly mean mushrooms when I say give plants a chance. I mean all of it. So microdosing is a really great proactive kind of regimen you can put yourself on. And I like a micro dose. I cannot say that enough. And I am talking about like 0.1 to 0.2, like very small of a gram. So like a 10 to 20% of a gram. That's it. Quarter of the gram tippy top if you just accidentally weigh wrong and you're like, okay, I'll do it just this one time. Like literally I'm trying to get between 0.10 and 0.20. And I like that once every 2 to 3 days. I don't like it daily. Those mushroom studies bear out that when you do them daily, they lose efficacy, because you get like too used to it, but that also that they can work intermittently. Like your brain doesn't require them daily for them to have this continual reset, kind of micro reset in your brain, so that you don't get bogged down in the matrix, right? I feel like that's what it's doing. It's kind of keeping you like free of the matrix so you can continue to flow through reality. And that when you don't, you're kind of just getting like stuck to you, and you can't flow anymore. And like it gets stuck, you get stuck. So I find that mushrooms are great if you're feeling stuck, microdosing especially. But if you do need that reset experience, you need an experience where you want to alter your perception, shift your reality, shift your relationship with your thoughts, get to a place where you can journal and you can create, express, and tap into yourself without the noise. I like 2 to 3 grams, dried grams, 2 to 3 dried grams. I like to consume it in a way that I can't taste it. That's my favorite thing. So I like yogurt for that. So I like to put I like to coarsely grind my mushrooms after I've weighed them and put them into like each bite of yogurt and kind of like stir it inside so that I can just like swallow the yogurt, not like close my mouth around it, not just swallow the yogurt, but the mushrooms are in there and it goes down easy and it tastes lovely. And I like to eat my mushrooms if I'm going to have a full trip. That's what I call a full trip, 2 to 3 grams. Hero dose is like 4 to 5 grams. And that's like a really like see God kind of reset. I'm just trying to like get to my own see Deidra kind of reset, you know?
See Deidra. I
Yeah.
don't see God, because God is expressing through Deidra uniquely. So, you know.
Right, but I'm just trying to see Deidra. I eat more, I can really see God, but I'm just trying to see Deidra. So I find 2 to 3 grams is the answer. I like to eat it early in the day because I like to be tripping both during the daylight and the night because I like to connect with the outside world in the day when I can see the trees and watch the wind and feel the sun on my face and have those very tactile connections to nature. And then at night, I want to see the stars. I want to see the moon if I can. I want to see the great beyond and have that sense of awe in the universe. So I like to eat my mushrooms like between 2 and 4 in the afternoon so that I can be in bed by like midnight because I can't sleep during the height of a mushroom trip. So I need to taper off so I can get to bed so I can really try to rest and then get up and take that whole next day off to just integrate the kind of truth that's come out of me. So it's like a 2-day commitment for me, and about 2.5, 3 grams. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the recipe you gave me, which worked really well for me, and it's way less than yours. So
oh yeah, that was so long. I'm sorry.
no, it wasn't too long. It's just like these are all different ways of, and this is the thing about plant medicine. It's folk medicine still, so we're like just sharing it amongst women, right? Like connecting. This is how I heal. This is how you heal. So you had me take a cannabis edible. At my preferred dose. So like I took, for me, my dose is 50 milligrams at this.
Well, this is because you were going to be doing it alone. Aren't I right? This is the recipe for if you're solo session, because that means no one's going to support you through this.
Yeah.
What I just described is very supported. Like there's people around me who are helping me navigate these realities and do these things.
Yeah.
This is a solo experience. So anyone can do this at any time. Let's be real.
Okay, so this is solo experience. So I took a gram, like a full gram, and of mushrooms plus 50 milligrams for cannabis. Plus I ate a little chocolate because I also think that part of the chocolate vibes up the mushroom experience.
Cacao is medicine for sure. Cacao is used like in ceremony. It is real medicine.
Yeah, I love it. And of course, like everyone talks about how much they love chocolate. And I really truly love chocolate. Like I think it's truly part of just medicine. Like I have a few little very low sugar chocolate chips every day, right? Like not every day, but a lot of days, just like a little bit. It's so happy. All this guilt around food is such a waste of time. So I take it with a little bit of chocolate. And you said for me to have something like to wear cozy clothes, have my journal ready, have music without lyrics ready. And I just happened to be simmering a pot of applesauce, which smelled really amazing. And it's really like just thinking about how I can curate my space to create a full sensory experience while I'm doing something to get to the truth of me. And I will say I was planning to go into the woods and have part of it be outside. And that was too much for me. I felt my body. I always ask what does my body want no matter what I'm doing. And like my body wanted.
The body can't lie. The brain can lie. The body can't lie.
Yes, exactly. And your body is your antenna to your higher self and your intuition. And you can even use your body as a pendulum. If you just like get rooted and grounded, yes is front to back, no is side to side, and you ask yes or no questions, and it really helps me with decision making all the time. And so but I did my reset trip and I just laid on my bed and I wrote in my journal and I cried and I laughed and I cried and I laughed and just did the thing, and it was perfect. It was the perfect thing. And then the next time I did a little reset trip, I wanted to go in the forest, so I only took 0.75 milligrams of mushrooms with me. And it was perfect for being, and I cried. And
Combined it again with the cannabis.
Yeah, and I laid in the woods and it was beautiful, and I did not get near as high as I had the time before. And when I got back, I took another one to just kind of close the gap to the 4, but I didn't even really need it, honestly, because like once I've peaked, I think. And so, but it was beautiful. It was like, I tend to do mushrooms, I'll tell you this, when there's chaos going on in the American government. So on Inauguration Day, on Election Day, on the Capitol Siege Day, like on those days, that's the day I choose to be like, okay, bye reality. I'm gonna go see what's going on with Bevan and come back.
That's the answer. It's the right thing to do too. You know?
Yeah,
it is. It's totally.
Oh my God. So thank you for kind of just being my friend in all of this and like helping me figure out how to use plant medicine more. I really love cannabis for revealing our truth, simply because cannabis helps me turn off the bully in my brain that tries to override everything that, like, your body knows and your brain lies. And so like it turns off all of those nasty voices for me and helps me just like be in the moment and set my intentions and experience. I like to say, where's the party? Sung by Madonna, right? In my head, it's where's the party sung by Madonna. And I just like to ask that because like I think when I get into my party vibe, I am the best version of Bevan, and that's what the people in my life deserve. It's what my aerobics clients deserve. It's what I deserve, frankly. Like, yeah. So, speaking of where's the party, I know for you, your party is with your houseplant. I love how passionate you are about plants in general, but just watching you over the course of quarantine just turn more and more to your dirt as a way of healing. Tell me everything about your plant journey during the last 11 months.
Yeah. Okay. So I've always had a relationship with plants, and cannabis is, I'm from the desert. So this did not start in childhood in any way, shape, or form. I'm from a place where you don't really garden successfully. Anyone I know, at least. Well, actually, that's not completely true, but here's the truth. I didn't really mess with growing plants until I came to cannabis. And so I started my plant growing journey with cannabis. And I started growing hydroponically. Then I started growing in soil. So I started at the most advanced, difficult level of growing plants that there is in all of plant cultivation communities. So that really, and actually I tried aeroponics, which is more complicated than hydroponics. So I really got my feet wet, dove right into the deep end. And that was more than 10 years ago. Since then, I have had gardens, mostly container gardens, flowers, herbs, vegetables, and some houseplants. And my houseplants were not my main source of joy. Like, I've had flower gardens and containers on my deck, and that's been like a major source of joy, and been my safe space, for a long time. But what it's become during quarantine over the last 11 months is houseplants. It's been all about the houseplants. I was gifted a houseplant for my 40th birthday in 2019. So right before quarantine in November, I was gifted this houseplant. And when quarantine happened in early 2020, I had this beautiful, it was an anthurium, which is a flowering plant. It's quite lovely. It's a tropical plant. And I had no idea what to do with it. So I overpotted it, which means I put it in way too big of a pot, way too dense of soil. And that was all okay when I was kind of ignoring it, like I do most of my plants until that point. House plants. I have a succulent that I've had for more than a decade, and it's as tall as I am, because I mostly ignored it and it worked out. This plant, however, 2020 hit and I started needing to take care of and nurture, and there was no getaway and there was no anything. And I turned to houseplants. So I promptly killed my anthurium with overcare, which is overwatering, which means I drowned my plant. And from there, I decided I didn't know enough. I didn't know enough. And so I needed to learn more because I never wanted to kill a plant again because it hurt. It hurt really bad. It was from a dear friend and I really loved it and I hated killing it. It was a terrible experience. So over the course of 2020, I went from a handful of house and deck plants to roughly 100 houseplants in my house now, ranging in size from tiny babies to big trees, and ranging in like kinds of plants. I have cactus and succulents, very arid plants, love the sun, to tropicals that want all the humidity and lots of shade, to just like common house plants, you know, sprinkled throughout my house. And I really love creating these little plant climates for each, you know, they're sorted by like how they live, not what they look like together, you know, but how they like to live. So the people who like a lot of shade and humidity, the people who like a lot of sun and humidity, people, you know, the people who like a lot of sun and no humidity, we're going to take care of everyone in all their different ways. And I love going from place to place in my house and connecting with these plants and watching their leaves grow, because being stuck inside has given me a sense of stuckness. The pandemic gave me a very strong sense of stuckness. And I stopped painting. I stopped writing. My creative outlets stopped. My morning rituals stopped. Like everything's stopped. And I needed a way to like glow up. I had my daily sister sesh, which was epic for connecting to my community, but I needed something for me. And plants gave it to me. I feel like I watered the plants and they watered me back, and that they're growing and changing and evolving, and watching them grow, because they do it so much faster than we do, and put out new leaves and do all this beautiful life, create this beautiful life, and give me this sense of connectedness, in times when I can't even go use public trails. You know, these things are closed. These ways of connecting with plants that I'm used to aren't what I have access to now. So houseplants have been my absolute saving grace, made me stay connected to the goddess side of me in a low key, low pressure sort of way, as they did the growing. And just watching them grow helped me feel like this would just be a season and that I'd get back to my own growth. And through the winter, I feel like I'm shifting into a phase of new growth and more flow myself. So it's been good. It's been really good.
That's so good. I really think that I love that when you talk about the different types of plants and what their needs are, you say these people need this and these people need that. They're clearly your friends. Like, let's be honest.
Legit, they are my friends. Like, they're supporting me in a way that I've never been supported. Like, legit, I've had dogs, I've had cats, I've had partners. I've never had plants as a support. Having a garden outside that you intend to get something from, very different than just house plants that you are tending for the beauty and the joy of that experience.
Yeah, and from a metaphysical perspective, like, there's so much to what houseplants can give us. And I'll say first and foremost for me is like working with fairy magic. Something that is very clear to me is that fairies only appear when there's dirt. You don't need a lot of dirt for them to show up. But like when I was helping my friend who was going through COVID, I was like, put a plant next to your head so that the fairies can come and help. And like, and also like plants themselves, like, are just vibing, and they have all of this good energy to give us, and this growth energy, and just a reminder that plants never second guess themselves. They're never like, oh, I can't shine too much, I might hurt someone's feelings, or oh, I how dare I shine in this way.
And they're never intimidated by the growth around them,
right? They're in fact probably encouraged to grow by the growth around them. Oh my God. And like also metaphysically, I'll say this too. the mushrooms in the forest are my friends. When I visit with them and I see them, and like there's a new little, I call them a celebration of mushrooms when more than one appears. And like I don't know if that's the clinical term of like a group of
I love it. I will call it a celebration of mushrooms as well. That's wonderful.
and the fact, like, I feel like energetically I get so much from them, and like the mycelium network that goes underneath everything and helps the trees talk to each other. I feel like when I touch mushrooms, like it's a way of me connecting to that network, and like and just seeing the change, because like mushrooms have a very different decay rate, like depending on the type. Some of them like come up and they're decaying right away, and some of them come up and you get like a couple months to hang out and like keep visiting them. It's like
That's
so rad.
cool.
And it's rad to see like the ways in which the plants in the forest mimic each other, because right now there's a mushroom that's coming up. It's called fairy fingers commonly, and it looks like coral from the ocean, like they're little white fingers that come
I've
up.
seen pictures of it in your stories.
Yeah, so I post them every day because the mushrooms are my friends. So I post my favorite forest finds every day.
I love that you did, because now I can relate.
Yeah, and I see them everywhere, like these little fairy fingers, but then I also see their echoes, because there's lichen in the trees that look just like them, and even the branches of the trees when they come down, because none of these clusters are the same. They're all different sizes. Some of them are different shades of white and brown, but like they're all related. They're all clearly the same mushroom, but then they mimic things. And there's other mushrooms that come up that look just like the bark of the Douglas fir, like it's the same pattern, and I'm like, this is freaking amazing. And like the mushrooms there's thousands of mushrooms in the forest, and like I'm so grateful to have been able to see, just in the last year, every day I go out and I've probably seen hundreds of mushrooms. It's amazing, and it teaches me honestly about change and letting go and letting beginnings happen because of endings, because all of those decaying mushrooms are just making more they're helping to digest the forest so that there can be more mushrooms and fertilize further mushrooms. Wild.
Right. I was reading a thing that say that we kill mushrooms to eat them, and then we die and feed mushrooms that live, and that like we're part of this mushroom eating animals eating mushrooms eating animals eating mushrooms cycle that I think is very compelling.
I think it's amazing, and there's a new way to be buried now, that where you can get like zipped up in a mushroom suit. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to like be digested and return to the mushrooms.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Fantastic
Fungi is a must-watch documentary if you haven't seen it yet. I just really helps you connect with that. I feel like connecting to plants and mushrooms are kind of together. I actually am I'm pursuing growing mushrooms as well, because I do not live in a rainforest like you do. So I have some mushrooms in my forest, but it's really way more rare. It's the season because it's rainy right now, which is lovely, but hundreds of varieties I can't even comprehend. So I'm going to grow some of my own, and I'm excited about that pursuit of cultivating mushrooms in the way that I've been cultivating houseplants and eating them and consuming them and sharing them and drying them and having all the experiences with mushrooms as well.
Oh, I'm so excited for Deidra's mushroom farm. Or mushroom sanctuary. I don't know what you'll call it.
Who knows, but we're definitely going to share it on my Give Plants a Chance with Miss Bliss on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4:20 at Miss Bliss 710 on Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, you go live on Facebook and Instagram.
I just post what I do on Instagram to Facebook. I download it. Yeah.
Okay, so it's live on Instagram, Miss Bliss 710, every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:20. The Glowing Goddess Getaway recently shifted to weekends only, right? So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's right. And we're probably going to add Monday. We'll talk about that later, though, in private.
Okay. So that's just for people to know. So the Glowing Goddess Getaway, just to give an update, it's an in-person event that really can't happen until the quarantine's over. So we're thinking, like, I feel like there's some tentative planning to do it COVID safe this summer.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to find a way to connect virtually that's more profound than just Instagram or something, or Facebook. So we're going to make our virtual connections more legit, by enhancing the virtual experience somehow. We're going to figure that out. And then if we can be safe, we will. But the point of the Glowing Goddess Getaway is cannabis sisterhood, really. So we're just finding any way we can to connect and using social media as our tool. And we're going to be using some like in-house tools on our website more, and just really trying to connect with our community in the new landscape that we've been given, because this is where we're at, you know?
Yeah, it is. This is where we're at. And I think I have just been so first of all, I was so supported and so glad and grateful that you and Saline really like drove to keep those 420 connections happening on Instagram. And also glad and grateful when you shifted, because like, you know, that's a lot. Going live every day, which I also did, is a lifestyle, and it's rough actually. It's a lot of work to figure out what to talk about, how to connect, and to be ready and on, and like, and in spite of anything going on, right? Like, it's very show business. But it makes good connections. And also I always love to see people shifting, and I like that you're really centering like your kind of personal brand. I hate to say it like that, because it's really just authentic humanness. Personal
I live out loud. That's how I say it. I live out loud. So
exactly. So you're like focusing on give plants a chance, which is like, was your rallying cry long before the quarantine, but now that you're really like even more vibing up with plants. Like I love to watch people grow into further passions, and I'm very inspired by other people's passions. And it's like as an empath, someone who's passionate about something vibes me up so much.
same. Yeah, talent is fun to, you know, and skill and knowledge and passion and excitement. All those things are really fun to see someone else. They can be very inspirational. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So, okay, other than Glowing Goddess Getaway and Miss Bliss 710 on Instagram and Facebook, where else can people find you or connect to you?
So glowinggoddessgetaway.com, you know, and that's really the best places to get me right now. We're working on Glowing Goddess Getaway, expanding that platform and creating more ways for women to connect virtually, because that is where we're at. Like, we wanted 2020 to be an anomaly. Turns out it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So it turns out we got to pivot hard. And 2020, we like just showed up kind of bare bones for our community every day. We're going to be here. We have no idea what's happening. We're just going to find a way to make it through together. But now we're like, oh, okay, this is where we're at. And so we're going to create stronger connections than ever before in virtual ways.
Absolutely. And I am so glad and grateful to have you in my life, Deidra. Thank you for being on the podcast and sharing your wisdom. And I hope whoever's listening was able to glow up in some way from some magic that you shared, and can use plants to help amplify the vibe.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Thank you for having me, Bevan. It's great to be here with you.
Yay.